kemiskinan memiliki kesempatan yang terbatas dalam beberapa hal, terutama untuk akses pada pendidikan. Pada anak-anak yang hidup dalam kemiskinan, mereka cenderung dibebani akan tanggung jawab untuk mencari nafkah, membantu keluarga mereka dalam mencari nafkah. Pada tahun 2012, untuk kondisi Juli, sedianya di Indonesia pada keluarga dengan tingkat ekonomi 30% terendah, terdapat 12 juta anak yang menjadi pekerjaan. Di Lampung sendiri yang merupakan provinsi dengan jumlah pekerja anak terbesar kedua di Pulau Sumatera setelah Sumatera Utara, pekerjanya 49% anak-anak yang tinggal pada keluarga dengan tingkat ekonomi 30% terendahnya merupakan pekerjaan. Untuk menekan angka pekerja anak ialah melalui pendidikan. Dengan adanya subsidi pada pendidikan diharapkan akan mampu menarik anak-anak yang pada dunia kerja untuk kembali ke pendidikan. Karena dalam penelitian ini saya ingin mengukur bagaimana pengaruh nilai ekonomi anak terhadap maraknya tenaga kerja anak. Nilai ekonomi anak di sini saya gambarkan dari besaran pengaruh tingkat kemiskinan keluarga tersebut terhadap peluang anak itu untuk menjadi pekerja anak. Selanjutnya juga saya ingin melihat bagaimana pengaruh jenis kelamin pada anak akan peluang dia untuk menjadi pekerja anak. Untuk menggambarkan kedua hal tersebut, saya menggunakan data sekunder yang berasal dari hasil Susenas 2011 dan menggunakan data Susenas tahun 2011. Saya mencoba untuk menghubungkan keadaan anak, baiklah status anak sebagai pekerja anak dan keadaannya pada keluarga yang hidup di bawah garis kemiskinan. Dan saya juga untuk melihat secara makro bagaimana kaitan antara kemiskinan dan pekerja anak, saya merefleksikan secara sederhana. Hasil yang diperoleh ternyata kesejahteraan masyarakat sebesar 40% di Provinsi Lampung mampu menekan jumlah tenaga kerja anak sebesar 6,64%. Sementara itu, upaya dalam penurunan angka kemiskinan tidak akan terlalu berdampak terhadap penurunan jumlah tenaga kerja anak, karena hanya 1% penurunan angka kemiskinan hanya akan menekan jumlah tenaga kerja anak sebesar 0,9%. Dan selanjutnya jika kita melihat hasil dari responden Susenas 2011 sendiri, ternyata 62,32% pekerja anak di Provinsi Lampung tersebut tidak lagi berada pada bangku sekolah, dan sebagian besar mereka merupakan tenaga yang tidak dibayar, yaitu tenaga keluarga yang bekerja untuk membantu kegiatan ekonomi keluarganya. Dan sebagian besar, sebesar 28,59% tersebut, mereka itu bekerja pada sektor pertanian. Dan ketika kita melihat hasil dari melihat bagaimana pengaruh penciptaan, pengaruh tingkat kemiskinan keluarga terhadap peluang anak tersebut menjadi pekerja anak, melihat bahwa ternyata seorang anak yang berada pada keluarga dengan pengeluaran yang di bawah garis kemiskinan hanya memiliki peluang 0,8 kali lebih besar untuk menjadi seorang pekerja anak dibanding mereka yang hidup di atas garis kemiskinan. Dan peluang itu akan besar pada seorang anak laki-laki. Anak laki-laki ternyata memiliki peluang 3,2 lebih besar untuk menjadi pekerja anak dibandingkan anak perempuan. Hal ini terlihat dari ternyata kebanyakan pada responden kelas 2011 itu yang menjadi pekerja anak itu bukan mereka yang berada di bawah garis kemiskinan. 78% pekerja anak tersebut berada pada keluarga yang pengeluarannya itu berada di atas garis kemiskinan. bukan dari keluarga miskin. Dan sebagian telah disebutkan sebelumnya bahwa mereka itu sebagian besar bekerja di pertanian dan terutama pada sektor perkebunan. Dan pada sektor pertanian tersebut sebagian besar 72% anak-anak tersebut merupakan pekerja tidak dibayar. Yang ini sejalan dengan bahwa pada keluarga pertanian, meskipun mereka memiliki tingkat kesejahteraan yang lebih cukup di atas garis kemiskinan, tapi mereka tidak memiliki kemampuan untuk membayar buruh tani. Karenanya mereka cenderung untuk menarik anak mereka untuk menjadi pekerja pertanian daripada menyekolahkan anak mereka. Dirinci data dari anak-anak pekerja anak yang tidak bersekolah tersebut. Lihat bahwa sebagian besar anak-anak tersebut akan menjawab ketika tanya alasan kenapa mereka tidak bersekolah, itu 60%-nya adalah mereka menganggap bahwa tidak ada biaya untuk melanjutkan sekolah. Merupakan hasil yang begitu bertentangan, karena kita tahu bahwa biaya sekarang telah ada program pendidikan yang murah, namun mereka yang dengan tingkat ekonomi yang di atas garis kemiskinan saja tidak menganggap pendidikan itu masih belum murah. Selanjutnya saya hanya harus berkesimpulan bahwa kemiskinan ternyata tidak terlalu memberikan kontribusi yang besar terhadap, dan ternyata dalam penduduk untuk provinsi Lampung masih adanya paradigma bahwa lebih baik mengirim anak mereka ke dunia kerja daripada mengirim mereka ke sekolah. Hal ini merupakan sebuah hambatan bagi kita jika kita ingin menekan jumlah pekerja anak dari melalui media pendidikan. Diperlukan adanya suatu kebijakan yang lebih mengarah pada peningkatan daya beli masyarakat. Karena di awal terlihat bahwa penurunan peningkatan 1% terhadap kesejahteraan masyarakat saja mampu meningkatkan 6% dari tenaga kerja anak. Dan selanjutnya, kita juga memerlukan perlu memberikan pemahaman kepada masyarakat itu tentang pentingnya investasi terhadap anak, sehingga mereka tidak lagi berpikir bahwa menyekolahkan anak mereka itu terlalu mahal dan lebih menguntungkan bagi mereka untuk mengirimnya ke dunia kerja. Demikian pemaparan saya, terima kasih.
So very interesting, different evidence from what we heard from the first two presenters. They are not going to school. Is it because of the social culture dimension, or is it because no physical accessibility to school? Yeah. We have to conduct more in-depth study to elaborate, to find out more detail what is the dimension of exclusion for this child labor condition in Lampung. Social culture problems, because they are not come from the poor family, or the accessibility for education facilities. Yeah. So, and then again, information about child rights is not in the local government policy. So we can find more detail the cause of this. Just to announce to the audience that our discussion will not come to this session. So it means we will have more time for question and answer to explore more detail. The last presentation will be migration and the incident of child labor. And this is more specific on evidence from the left behind children in Indonesia. So hopefully this presentation will complement to the previous presentations. And then will be carried out by these two ladies. Yeah. First is who will be first? Nila. The first will be carried out by Nila from Semeru, junior researcher, and then later on will be continued by Niken Kusuma Mardani, also from Semeru. So now is your turn.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everybody. We are happy for the opportunity to share our research findings. Before we have the presentation from these things, where the children becoming migrants and becoming child labor. And now we'd like to know the effects of the migration, but doing by the parents, and how is the effects to the children. Okay, so in our study, basically we link two aspects. First is the migration by the parent in one side and the working children in other side. We know that why it becomes important. We know that the migration usually considered as the pathway to improve the welfare level of the household, which in turn can escape them from the poverty. However, in terms of the parental migration, the attachment between the parents and their children regarding of it, when the parents is away by the migration, so the children will lose a local support in this family. The children will lose a local support from the parents, so they can usually the parents can protect them from the risky activities such as being abused or becoming child workers. So without them, they may be turned into risky activities such as being child labor. So we hope that our research can contribute to the discourse of policy or the study in child labor and the migration. So here is the research question. We like to figure out the two things. First, what is the effects of the parental migration on the children in the household level? Will it increase or decrease the share of working children? And after that, we'd like to diversify the effects by decomposing the parental migration into the paternal and the paternal and the maternal migration. Would it give the different impacts on the participation of left behind children in working activities? And this is the trend of migration in Indonesia. These figures point out that either international or internal migration both are growing so fast in recent years, and it's becoming more complex. So we decide not to pick one of them, either international or internal. For instead, we combine those two migrations, and moreover, we'd like to see whether any different impact of the internal migration and the international migration. This is the trend of economic work. It's about the working children performed, and we divide between the economic and domestic work. It's taken from second S, and there is a surprising trend between 2006 and 2007, where there is an sharp increasing. This is the theories and the evidence about the child working and parents. The first thing is the theories of white-collar work. There are three different theories: quantity and quality trade-off, then poverty hypothesis, and the market value. We can come back here later for the detail if you need. And the second one is the connection between the parental migration and working children. There are some evidence. There are some studies before in Vietnam and then in Indonesia, and some studies. But generally, there are three things that link the parental migration and the working children. First analysis come from remittance effects, where the remittance should improve the welfare of the household, so the children is less likely to becoming child labor. And then the second channel is coming from the disruptive family effect, where the migration by parents will cause the disruptive in the family is left behind, so the children will lose local support, as I said before, so the children will become risk from becoming child labor. And the third is the immediate substitute effect. We use the data of Indonesia Family Life Survey. It's the best data that we can employ, as you know, as mentioned before by saying that Indonesia doesn't have a special survey for the migration. So we just use the Indonesia Family Life Survey. Is the panel data set represented about 83% of Indonesia population, and it started in 1993, then repeated in 97, 2000, and 2007. We just used the last 2 years, the last 2 waves, is 2000 and 2007. We restricted our sample into the children under 15 who are interviewed in both waves. So we have almost 5,000 children and 2007 households. So this is our interest variables. As I said before, first we have parental migration generally. We analyze it in household level. Then we have a decomposition of parental migration. So we divide it between into paternal and maternal migration. We analyze it and compare to the migration of by both parents. Then we have a destination of migration, so we differ the effects of international migration by father and by mother, and whether it's give the different effect with the internal migration. So we divide worker children into 3 categories. So first is the children who is engaged in economic work, so working for wage or family farm business without doing any domestic work. And then we define the child worker into child who work in household without doing economic work. So children who doing household or something like that. And the third, we use the child worker term without considering any type of the working. So child who has participated in both in either economic work or housework. So among 5,000 children, most of them, almost all the children are ever doing housework, about 94%, and less than 10% who doing economic work only without doing housework. And the last one is children who working economically along with doing housework. And this is the distribution of children in terms of the parental migration status. Absolutely, almost all the children, about 87%, live with their parents, but around 13% of children who live separate with their parents. Either it's left by mother, left by father, or left by father and mother. But most of them, more than half, left by the father. And for the information from our data set, most of the parents or most of the children are left by parents for internal migration. So almost maybe not less than 10% who left by parents for migration internationally. This is our estimation strategies to answer those 2 questions before. First, analyzed in the household level. We'd like to see the child worker as a share of children who works in the household. And then in individual level, be more detailed to see the determinants of children becoming child worker. And our interest variable here is who is the parents who migrate, either is father, mother. And then we see the migration destination as the variables, whether the parents migrate abroad and otherwise. Otherwise is their migrants internally. So the individual level is, we analyze the individual estimation is for the left behind children. So in the household level, we have samples of the migrant and non-migrants, the left behind and the non-left behind children. But for the individual level, all the samples are left behind children. Okay, and for the rest of presentation, if I can.
Okay, so thank you. So I will continue the presentation. So as we all know that the empirical studies in the migration studies has always been suffering from the issue of selection bias. So to deal with the selection bias, we employ a specific method called propensity score matching in order to come up with a true causal relationship between parental migration and also the impact on the children working activities. So actually, what PSM does is that it helps us to create a comparable control group that somehow resembles the treatment group in an array of observable characteristics so that we can be sure that the the result that we get is actually the true impact of the parental migration and not because of the inherent differences between the two treatment group and also control group. So our sample is composed of 674 treated households and 1,333 control households. So this is just to show you that we have matched the household samples based on several observable characteristics, namely children characteristics such as age, gender, and also household characteristics such as location, household size, dependency ratio, and per capita expenditure, and also some of the household health characteristics such as age and employment status. And then table 3 just shows you that basically our PSM has done a great job in terms of matching, because after matching we see no statistically significant differences between treated group and control group. So we have controlled the selection bias up to this step. And then we are presenting the result in table 4. So as my colleague has explained before, in the first model we explore in the household level. So our variable of interest here is the variable of being left behind by migrant parents. So this result shows you that being left behind by migrant parents increases any type of child work by 6% approximately. But then when we disaggregate the type of work of the children, we see that being left behind by migrant parents only statistically significant in affecting the share of children in the households that work for housework but not for economic work. So there is no statistically significant impact on economic work of children. Next. So at the individual level, we also explore what are the determinants of working children, and our main variables of interest are whether the children is left by father, left by mother, father migrates abroad, or mother migrates abroad. So here we see that migration by father increases child's probability to participate in housework, but it decreases child's probability to participate in economic work compared to migration by both parents. On the other hand, migration by mother decreases child's probability to participate in economic work. In other words, we say that any type of parental migration decreases children's probability to join economic work, but only migration by father that increases child's probability to do housework. Okay, so what can we conclude so far by our results? So first, we can say that parental migration modifies division of work within household, and children bear part of household responsibilities due to absence of parents. And we see that in the results that we have shown before, that being left behind by migrant parents doesn't translate into more children in a household performing economic work, but rather increasing the share of children in a household who do housework. And also we also find some variables which are significant in determining share of working children in a household, such as age of child, and then gender of first child, and also employment status of the household head. For the determinants of working children, we have drawn some results. So firstly, parental migration determines children's probability to perform working activities, but apparently it is only migration by father that affects both types of work done by children. As we've seen that migration by father increases children's probability to do housework, but it decreases children's probability to do economic work. We argue that when father migrates, it is likely that mothers are forced to join the labor market to compensate for foregone income, while fathers are still in the initial stage of migration and remittance is still volatile. So mothers are somehow forced to join the labor market, and she shifts her responsibility to do house chores to the left behind children. Yes, and also we also find some interesting findings on some control variables, but I think we can go back to that later. So our study, I think, contributes a lot to the policy discussions. So there are 5 points in terms of policy that we want to discuss. So firstly, there is an ongoing debate on assignment of house chores to children. Like some people argue that house chores is good for children because it can help children to be more responsible, and it can give chance for children to contribute to the family by substituting mother's labor supply. But on the other hand, our data shows that in average, children spend 6.4 hours per week for housework, which is not a short amount of time. And we assume that assignment of house chores will force children to surrender their leisure time. And from the perspective of researchers, we use the IFLS, which is so far the best data that we can employ to study migration and remittance. But again, we think that we need a detailed survey exclusively designed for migration and remittance, so that we can explore more variables, we can come up with a richer conclusion for the sake of migration policy. Next. And then my colleague has mentioned before that in the IFLS, the proportion of internal migrants are the majority compared to the international migrants. So we would like to highlight the regulation aspect for the international migrants. For the internal migrants, I mean, because the number of internal migrants is growing so fast, but up till now there is no formal regulatory system that somehow protects the rights of the internal migrants and its families, because Indonesia has ratified the UN Convention for the rights of the migrant workers and the families, but it is lacking the context for internal migrants. So within that, we know that from our study, at least we can conclude that somehow parental migration is affecting the probability of children to join working activities. So probably like we need a regulation that somehow can give freedom for internal migrants to visit their family once in a month or twice in a month, so the parents can still control their children or still can play the role of parents. And then next, we would like also to highlight the role of community support. We know that there is a PAUD, or the Pendidikan Anak Usia Dini, or the early childhood development. We think that it could be a solution to for the left behind children by migrant families, because if the role of PAUD is expanded to become daycare institution, in addition to only educational institution, then maybe we could improve the caring arrangement of the left behind children, because normally left behind children are taken care of by the grandparents or by the older children in the household. Okay, so next, this is the last point actually. We would also like to emphasize the importance of the program or training for the remittance management, because we know that from several field observations in Indonesia, they find that most of the remittances are spent on housing, and migrant families are rarely managing the remittances well. They never spend it on investment goods such as education or health. So we think that if only the migrant families know how to manage their remittances well, probably we could optimize the benefit of migration not only to the immediate families but also to the whole community. Okay, so that is all from us. Questions and comments are most welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Nila and Megan. So this is a full scientific presentation with quite complicated analysis using logistic binary multiple regression. Yeah, but we found another dimension of exclusion for inclusive social protection for the child poverty. Is it true that the parental as a migrant worker can be defined as the dimension of exclusion of inclusive social protection to ensure child rights? Because if you look at this presentation, it seems that they don't care about the child right to go to school, to get better education, to ensure the healthy life and so on. So if we only control through the parent migrant worker policy, and then it will have a negative impact on child social protection. Now we still have time. If we want to finish by 12:15, and we will have 10 minutes for question and answer, or should we extend later on, and then we will have a short lunch time. Now I would like to ask three of colleagues. Please raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. Okay, 4. Later, Pak, ya. Okay, please. First, Madam.
Thank you. My first question is addressed to Mrs. Singh. Yes, I just want to know, I just wondering, is there any special characterized...
Excuse me, would you please to mention your name and your...
Sorry. My name is Luca from Day2b, Indonesian Institute of Science. Is there any special characterized of type of family or actually just common among poor family? Just a short question. My second question is to Pak Harma dan Ibu Rizka. Kalau melihat anak jalanan di Bandung dan ini modelnya dengan model longitudinal, apa ada dari observasi partisipasi yang dilakukan oleh Bapak, apakah ada faktor-faktor internal eksternal lainnya yang berpengaruh pada anak-anak itu atau anak itu tetap berkembang di jalanan? Maksud saya begini, ada tadi Bapak sudah menyebutkan ada satu faktor internal, adalah persoalan belief, itu adalah orang-orang Muslim, gitu. Tetapi apakah ada faktor lain yang ikut berpengaruh sehingga anak jalanan tetap berkembang di sana? Pemikiran saya adalah seharusnya atau mungkin sebaiknya bagaimana peran dinas sosial dan juga NGO LSM ikut berperan memberikan edukasi kepada mereka sehingga mereka tidak turun di jalan. Sementara itu kepada Mbak Ibu Rizka, tadi apa ya? Bagaimana kalau melihat penjelasan Ibu, saya melihat bahwa ada makna kemiskinan yang lain, bukan soal kemiskinan welfare, tetapi kemiskinan well-being, gitu ya. Jadi saya ingin dapat pendapat dari Ibu Rizka, karena ini persoalan bukan persoalan mereka miskin tidak mempunyai uang, gitu, tetapi kemiskinan atas kesadaran mereka untuk hidup lebih baik, untuk hidup dalam suatu derajat yang lebih baik. Yang terakhir saya tujukan kepada Mbak Nita dan Mbak Niken. Just only small note. The trend of in the first slide, you said that the trend of international migration in 2012 actually the data from BNP to TKI actually not the whole years but stop on the May. So it seems that the situation decreased, but actually it is not until the whole year 2012. This is my first comment, and then the second comment is not comment, a question. Are there any institution organizations that influence to the children that we left behind from the migrant worker. Because from my experience in Karawang, one of the my research is there is some special organizations that help them with the local government, I mean from the village government, give special educations, not formal educations. For example, how to farming with this simple knowledge. And every day they come to that house and then just look at without any no pulpit, no many things, but just look at the rice and then okay, I have to try this one, and then until many months they can do by themselves. And another thing is
Ibu, can we stop after this? Please only question, not comment, please.
Okay. The last question is, are there any characteristics of the children? Because your presentation doesn't mention about the range of the children needs. So it means you said that in I don't know which slide. It means, are there any differences characterized to help them to make them better situations? Thank you.
Next, please. You will be the third. Yeah. Please introduce yourself and short question.
Hello. Yeah, I'm Chua from Ministry of Women, Family and Community Development. Sorry, I'm from Malaysia. My question is especially to Pak Suhama, is on street children. The question is on, do you, the first thing is I want to ask, do you have the segregation between the male and female population of street children? And do they have parents, especially when you mentioned that there's those that are as small as 5 to 12 years old? And I am wondering, do they go to school? And my last question is, whatever that they're getting from the activities on the street, does it really, allow them to make a living? Thanks.
Next.
Thank you. So my question is for the last presentation, and I'm really happy to see that work like this is going on in Indonesia. And I've been working on this topic for quite some time, also in Eastern and Central Europe. So happy to see this. And I know that maybe your data set doesn't allow for it because it wasn't, your data set is not specifically, of course, made for this, but I have a couple of questions about other extensions that you can look at. So, for instance, now you didn't tell us about the difference between internal and international migration, and if there's a difference there. Maybe your N is too small for international, so maybe that's not possible. But we found it very interesting also as to where the parent goes. So, in your case, even maybe internally in Indonesia, are they going rural, are they going urban, are they going to the biggest cities, things like that can be quite important. And we also have found that the percentage of the child's life that a parent is away is also an important determinant. I don't know if you have it. Exactly, so if you know the duration of migration, but it's different for a young child than an older child, right? So because 1 year of a 2-year-old is half their life, whereas 1 year of a 15-year-old is only a small portion of their life, right? So you can look at different areas like that. And then we've also found that it's not just important if it's the father or mother who migrates, but it's actually more important who is the caregiver at home. So I think that's really key. So are they left with the father? Are they left with the mother? Are they left with the grandparent? And I think there you'll see more distinctions also. And just finally, from a more technical perspective, I was wondering if you only use one matching technique, and what matching technique you use, kernel, radius, etc. And there I can say for robustness reasons you should use all 4 types of matching, and whether or not you have considered an instrumental variable approach.
Would you please introduce yourself?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm Melissa Siegel from Maastricht University and the United Nations University.
Thank you. So, the last one for decision.
Um, I realized that the social protection, including health, education, or special protection for the children, can make quality of life of the children, especially for child labor. But in my mind, that for our social protection in Indonesian context, it's not in one packet, in spirit packet. It is education, health, or other. My question is how.
To whom, Pak?
Huh?
To whom?
Listen.
To missing. Okay.
How to make the social protection more effective, can implement more effective to cover child labor or children need special protection with the variety of social protection, education, health, and so on. This is my question. And the secondly is family, atau parent contribute significant contribute the impact of the children as the child labor, as the children, and I think the issue about child protection. I think this is we have the problem about how to empower about the family. Our question is, I think this is our question, how to make the family is realize about that they have obligation to to increase the quality of life of the children and empower and so on. It means not only economic aspect, but also I think the attitude and so on. But there are many from the evidence from this, not single children. I think not economic aspect, but I think the attitude of the family is also contribute for the the challenge is how to maybe the empower of the family to involve more aware with the child. The situation of migration.
Thank you. So I will ask Ms. Sings to answer first, and then Pak Suharma, and then Rizka. After that, Niken and I will be the last.
The first question I think you were asking, what are the characteristics of the family? Were they all poor that are migrating? I don't know how to answer your question because the data on migration is just very impossible to find. And you get hard numbers of how many are migrating, but I don't think it's been cross-referenced with income levels and things of that nature. So I think we need a lot more information on what is the trend. My feeling, or educated guess, maybe you'll agree with me, is that they're probably from poor to near poor family range, and they're migrating obviously mostly to look for employment or better employment or better life. So that is my gut conclusion, that is probably the case, that their family is moving. You have the phenomenon of single parents moving, fathers moving. Well, they're moving to do something to help their families back home. So they're not coming from the elite. I mean, I'm sure some are that go off to study at some special university in some other province. But I think this does need a bit more research. I wanted to add to your question, actually, to you as well, because I think one of the things, two other variables you can consider in addition to what Melissa said. I think the family size also is a variable in terms of household chores that might be performed, especially if it's the older daughter or son that ends up taking care as opposed to a grandmother. So the actual number of siblings that might have to be taken care of might be an important, quite an important variable. And I think there was another question I had on that, the family size. and the age dimensions. I mean, are you finding a huge amount, 15 and above, all of a sudden in the household caregiving role as opposed to those under 12? So linked to that is also the ages of the children that need care of left behind children, parents. On the Jarak question in particular, I understand that Indonesia is now planning for its next development plan, and right now is a very good time to be reassessing how well the social protection schemes are moving. I think this conference is obviously a good contribution towards that discussion. I would be very happy as a conclusion of this if somehow concrete recommendation can be made. It's not rocket science. The word coordination is very key. It is the most difficult thing to do, even within our own organizations, I know. But I think having actually been through this phase and found that one of the key problems in an effective social protection delivery is this issue of coordination. I think with all the wise brains and all the expertise here, we can try to come up with some good way that the coordination works better. In terms of migration and the role of the local government, yes, I think there's more that can be done with regard to the local governments. I think this initiative mentioned of the single window service or one-stop shop can engage them a bit more. In terms of also informing the residents in their localities of the different job opportunities or the social protection mechanisms that they can benefit from. But also if they know that people are leaving that province, they can also help facilitate links with the local governments of the other provinces or the other municipalities, especially usually I think people migrate first within the municipality and then into a province. So they can help facilitate that pre-departure side of things. So those are just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mrs. and Pak Suharma.
Oke, terima kasih. Saya dalam bahasa Indonesia. Yang pertama, bahwa hasil riset yang telah saya lakukan ini ada 2 faktor yang paling dominan sebenarnya terhadap keberadaan anak jalanan di Kota Batu. Di luar yang ketiga itu adalah pribadi daripada si anak jalanan. Yang pertama sebenarnya keluarga, ibu bapaknya. Anak jalanan yang berada di bawah 5 tahun yang berada di jalanan itu tergantung daripada ibu bapak atau orang tuanya. Dia ada atau tidak ada di jalanan adalah tergantung daripada orang tuanya, dia mau bawa atau tidak. Satu. Yang kedua, yang anak yang lari atau keluar rumah dari keluarganya itu faktor daripada individual. Tapi yang paling dominan, yang sangat menarik itu adalah kenapa makin banyak. Kalau dilihat presentasinya atau banyaknya yang mana? Yang paling banyak adalah yang pertama, yaitu akibat daripada perilaku orang tuanya yang memang mengarahkan anak di jalan. Kalau yang lari itu tidak terlalu banyak, sedikit. Jadi artinya apa? Kita intervensi atau mau memberikan pelayanan, program dan sebagainya itu adalah di level keluarga. Karena anak itu menurut saja apalagi dengan ada doktrin-doktrin itu. Yang terakhir, yang faktor yang berpengaruh itu adalah perilaku masyarakat. Di Kota Bandung itu ada sangat besar program dan gaungnya sangat besar, itu didukung oleh Kementerian Sosial, didukung juga oleh NGO, dari NGO Agim, terus juga dari Muhammadiyah, tetap tidak berhasil. Karena faktor yang ketiga ini, perilaku masyarakat, sangat menentukan sekali. Hasil riset saya mengatakan bahwa ada hubungan yang signifikan antara perilaku masyarakat dalam pengguna jalan dalam memberikan uang dengan sedikit banyaknya jumlah anak jalanan. Bahkan sekarang ini perubahan perilaku di Kota Bandung itu sudah berubah dengan adanya pakai cat. Jadi seluruh badannya itu dicat dengan gaya robot, itu hanya untuk menarik perhatian dan belas kasihan. Dan itu kenapa? Karena dia udah umur 13 sampai 18 itu sudah mulai menurun, sehingga dia melakukan berbagai diversifikasi perubahan perilaku untuk tetap mendapatkan perhatian dan belas kasihan dari pengguna jalan. Artinya intervensi selanjutnya itu adalah bahwa proses edukasi terhadap masyarakat pengguna jalan. Kalau tidak ada memang pengguna jalan itu memberikan uang, saya yakin Kota Bandung akan hilang anak jalanan. NGO tidak akan berhasil selama perilaku pengguna jalan itu tetap melakukan pemberian jalanan. Dinas sosial pun kewalahan. Sekarang lagi menangani terakhir program untuk yang pakai cat, untuk yang dia perilaku seperti robot untuk pengguna perhatian tetap juga tidak jalan. Oke. Selanjutnya berkaitan dengan apakah yang saya memilah antara lelaki dan perempuan, ya, saya tidak memilah berdasarkan karakteristik itu. Tapi pada dasarnya dari 7 informan yang saya dapat itu baik laki-laki dan perempuan hampir sama. Jadi yang pertama itu adalah tergantung orang tua. Kalau dia lebih mengarahkan, dia lebih memberikan pembelajaran sosial tentang bagaimana hidup di jalanan, bagaimana untuk menghasilkan pendapatan, itu mereka akan ikuti. Nah, lalu apakah mereka tidak sekolah? Saya ada yang kebetulan 7 informan yang saya dapat semua tidak sekolah, karena sebagian ada yang di bawah 6 tahun. Dan yang di atas 6 tahun itu mereka lari dari rumah. Jadi sangat sedikit berhubungan dengan keluarganya. Jadi kalau ditanya, tapi saya tidak mempermasalahkan hal itu dalam riset saya, tapi saya melihat dalam perilakunya. Kebetulan ada yang masih di bawah pengawasan orang tua atau ibu bapak sehingga tidak sekolah. Bagaimana impactnya terhadap tingkat penghasilan mereka terhadap kehidupan rumah tangga itu tidak ada berpengaruh apakah mereka mendapatkan uang 50.000, 30.000 itu menjadi lebih sejahtera, karena mereka memang tidak mempunyai pengetahuan dalam memanage dalam hal uang, apakah mau diinvestasikan atau dirubah. Yang penting mereka mencari uang, mendapatkan, lalu mereka habiskan. Itu dari hasil. Jadi apakah ada pengaruh untuk peningkatan kondisi kehidupan keluarga? Saya bilang hasil dari situ itu tidak ada sama sekali. Mereka dapat habis. Bahkan yang lari dari rumah itu, yang klasifikasi yang kedua lari dari rumah itu, mereka mempergunakan penghasilannya itu dengan suka-suka. Mereka bisa membeli apa dengan tanpa memperlihat bahwa saya harus investasi untuk masa depan. Jadi sama sekali tidak. Itu barangkali 3 atau 4 pertanyaan yang saya jawab. Ya, sudah. Itu barangkali.
Pertanyaan tentang pendapatnya bagaimana tentang kemiskinan. Saya juga sependapat dengan ibu, karena gue sebenarnya dimensi kemiskinan itu tidak hanya diukur dari ekonomi saja, masih adanya mental belum. Pernah dalam ketika saya harus tugas lapangan, saya pernah sedikit wawancara ketika saya menemukan responden yang kehidupannya itu dia bisa memenuhi kebutuhannya, tetapi ternyata ada anaknya yang bekerja dan tidak sekolah pada daerah kota. Dan ketika saya tanya alasannya kenapa tidak menyekolahkan anak, padahal kan sekarang sudah gratis sekolah dan sekolah juga sudah bisa terjangkau untuk mereka. Namun mereka juga menganggap bahwa adanya nilai anak di situ. Bisa mereka menganggap bahwa opportunity cost-nya anak itu untuk itu lebih besar daripada dia untuk sekolah.
Okay, jelas.
Question from Ibu Uncle, from Vicky, Evelyn Mahasa. Ya, untuk International Migration Plan, ya terima kasih komentarnya. Memang data itu kami ambil dari Day2b TKI, dan itu bukan data jumlah migran yang migran dari Indonesia ada di dalam, tapi itu adalah data keberangkatan, jumlah keberangkatan orang ke luar negeri. Jadi Jadi walaupun ada tren menurun itu bukan berarti jumlah masyarakat yang bekerja di luar negeri itu menurun. Terima kasih informasinya. Kalau itu sebenarnya hanya sampai bulan Mei. Berikutnya tentang institution intervention ya, setelah behind children. Kita pernah ada studi di Cianjur, kualitatif. Ada satu lembaga P2TP2A ya, yang itu mereka melakukan survei pada anak-anak yang ditinggalkan ya. Kemudian mereka melakukan intervensi di bidang kesehatan dan pendidikan. Tapi lagi-lagi itu untuk international migration, tidak untuk internal migration. Ya, kemudian kita juga menemukan ada semacam panti asuhan untuk anak-anak yang dilahirkan, anak-anak dari migran di luar negeri, anak dari TKW yang kemudian ditinggalkan oleh ibunya. Jadi masuk ke panti asuhan itu. Itu ada di Bogor. Kalau oh enggak, kita enggak. Karena ini sangat terbatas sekali informasinya. Kemudian untuk karakteristik dari anak, sebenarnya kita masukkan beberapa hal, mulai dari jenis kelamin, usia dan sebagainya. Jadi mungkin bisa dilihat lebih jelas di
So I will respond to Marissa's question. So yes, we admit that our data set has many limitations, like in terms of duration we cannot control, and then in terms of who becomes the caregiver also we cannot control. But we know that these variables should be incorporated in the next research. So actually, SMERU is planning another research, but in smaller scale, only in some provinces, and we will incorporate these two variables in our survey. So thank you for that. And also for the question of the algorithm that we use for the matching. So the primary algorithm is the 5NN algorithm matching, but we have done some robustness tests using 4 different algorithms, but we just and for the next one, or comments from Mrs. Singh regarding several variables that we should consider, like family size, siblings, and age of child. We actually have incorporated them in our estimations, but due to limitation of time, I couldn't mention it one by one. So thank you.
Thank you. Personally, I would like to add more time, but unfortunately, now already 12:50, so I would like to conclude our session now. We got a lot of information, especially related to inclusive social protection, because our team is inclusive social protection. So I try for each presentation to link to the inclusive social protection. A lot of dimensions already identified that will contribute to future social protection policy in Indonesia. Again, thank you very much for your active participation to all of you, and let's applaud our speaker. Thank you very much.